And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
There's a lot of train games out there, but there's a whole pile of train games that come from Empire Builder. Now, this is the newest version of Empire Builder, but Empire Builder's been out for a long time, and it's a cran rail game where you draw on the board. Now, Empire Builder is not a difficult game to understand. It's fairly simple to understand, but it has a lot of great depth and strategy. It takes a while to play. There's a pile of games in the series that go from Japan, Australia, to Russia, to China, to the moon, to Mars. There's all kinds of these games out there. And I like it. I won't play with more than 2 to 3 players because there's a lot of downtime on a player's turn. But now they've come out with this. This kind of blindsided me. I didn't know this was even coming out. Empire Express. If you notice, Empire Builder and Empire Express is a smaller game. Basically, Empire Express, essentially from what I can gather, is almost like a learning game. It's an introductory game into the system. You can play it. It's not like the game is a tutorial and you're done. No, it's a full-blown game, but it's a simpler version, a streamlined version. Let me show you. Here's the board, which is a map of not the whole United States like the original Empire Builder, but the northeastern part of the United States. And you can see that the board is basically made up of a whole bunch of dots and different things. And what you'll be doing as the game progresses is you'll actually be drawing on the board, connecting these dots, and making a train track as you draw. Now, for the very basic version of this game, you don't even have to really do that, because if you've noticed, there's some blue stars here, and that shows, for example, where the blue train starts. So at the beginning of the game, I already have my first train line built. So that's a neat feature, and in fact, the game comes with different cards, and I actually can take certain cards that are for my color into my hand. So that's kind of like a basic starting way. The game will actually, as you play the full version of this basic game, you will build your own railroad track basically wherever you want, although you'll get to look at your cards. Now, what cards am I talking about? Well, there's these cards, and I want to talk about how awesome these cards are over the original Empire Builder cards, because the original Empire Builder cards had 3 different things. Here, though, it has a map. There's 2 destinations which are marked on the map, a red and a blue one, and then it shows you where the goods you need for that destination. So, for example, in this first one, if I take wood to Washington, I'll make $10 million, or I can take passengers to Charlotte for $18 million. And where can I get wood here? I can get wood from Augusta or Roanoke, and I can get passengers from Chicago, New York, or Washington. So actually, the way I have this track set up, I could do either of those. So what I will do as the game progresses is I will have a card with my train on it. And this is different than, again, regular Empire Builder, because Empire Builder, you can change your train and upgrade your train. You have the one train here for the whole game, but that number at the top is how far your train moves and how many things it can carry. Now, this game uses a very wonderful miniature for your train, which is just this little plastic piece, but that's pretty much all you can fit. And so at the beginning of your turn, you're allowed to spend up to $20 million that you have, and the money comes along with everything else in this tray here to build more track on the board. Building track is very simple. If you're connecting to a regular dot, it's cost you $1 million. If you connect to a mountain, it costs $2. If you connect to anything else, like a city, it costs $3. If you cross a river on the board, it costs an extra $1 million. And so you'll start with some cash, and you'll be spending it, but you're here to pick up goods. Here's another great thing about this game. This is something that they should have done a while ago. Instead of using the plastic chips that were painted in previous games, they now just have pieces that are punched out of cardboard. These are much nicer. They look really sharp and clear, and I'm glad that they've included them. So what you can do on your turn is first you build some track, then you go to a town with your train if you want. You pick up goods and you drop it off at the certain area that you need to drop that off, and then you turn in the appropriate card, and then that card will give you a certain amount of money. So for example here, if I got some marble to Washington, which would have to come from Knoxville, which you can get. If I got some marble up to Knoxville, then I'm going to get $28 million. And then I get to draw another card from this deck. You can also discard a card to draw another card, but you're going to be getting more cards as time goes by, and then whatever those cards say, you're going to try to use that to decide where you're going to go. Now, not every card that you will draw is going to be a route of something to take someplace, but there are also cards that have breaking news on them. These cards will, like for example here, the next player to deliver machinery gets a $5 million bonus. Every train within 3 mile posts of those cities leaves in a lose a turn and discard a load. So these events add some uncertainty to the game, but what most of the game is going to progress, and this is what can slow the game down, is by simply the fact that you always have 3 of these cards, and you're looking at them trying to decide which of these you'd like to do, and how you can best combine those. The game itself is not very complicated. That's all there is. You have the starting track, or you can build your own starting track, and you are trying to get your goods as efficiently as you can, pick up multiple goods if you can, from one city to the next city. You can use other people's tracks when you're moving your train, but you have to pay them money. And by the way, I do not like the paper money, but hey, it is what it is. And once a player gets to $150 million, then they've won the game. The game ends after everyone had an equal number of turns. But in the full game, which is the one you should play, not only do you have to have $150 million, but you also must connect all 5 major cities. There's a few other rules, like the smaller cities can only have 2 people in them. The medium cities can only have 3 people in them. You have to leave at least enough room that other people can get into cities, especially the major cities. But for the most part, it's a very straightforward game with straightforward events. Empire Express is exactly what it is intended to be. It is a game that if someone's never played a crayon rail game before, this would be very easy to teach them how to play. At the other hand, like I pointed out, so many of the improvements in this game, for example, the cardboard chips and the cards that show where in the map it is, wow, please integrate that into all the empire building games. Yeah, I know that when you put the picture on, then you can't have 3 things in a card. But come on, I don't know that that would kill the game anyway, just to have 2 things in every card. Please implement those. Those are fantastic. In fact, people are going to play this and they're going to go to the regular games and go, "Whoa, what happened here?" So that's nice. It's very easy. In fact, the simple version where you actually draw your routes out at the beginning of the game, not a bad way to start. But you're going to grow past that soon. The map is easy to understand, especially for Americans who might be playing it because they know where these places are. But even so, again, the cards show you where things are. And it's very straightforward. There's not a lot of different strategies that are going to be implemented. You're going to go maybe down to Nashville where there's a lot of good things to get, or up to the farthest corner of the Northeast. I enjoy it. As someone who likes the Empire Builder series a lot, I probably wouldn't play this over any of those, although I like the cards and chips so much. But, it doesn't offer any great strategy. But that's not what it's for. Like I said, it's for an introductory game. I played this, I said in the beginning of my review, I only play Empire Builder with 2 or 3 players because it just takes so long. This doesn't take nearly as long, so you can play this one with 4 and it didn't bother me nearly as much, although still I prefer to play with 2 or 3. So it's a very good production. If you're looking to get someone interested in the series, or maybe you've never played it yourself, then this might be one to try. Because you have those super basic rules and then the advanced rules, which are still fairly basic. Yeah, when you'll get farther, you say, oh, you can upgrade trains and you can do this and that. Well, yeah, there's a few more things in the other games. But for the most part, this is all you need to know. So I'm always for streamlined games, and this is one of those, and it's a good one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.